When we think of cartoons, the last thing we normally think about is controversy. However, controversial moments have popped up in cartoons for decades. For that reason, I've decided to compile a list of just that. So sit back, relax, grab an onion, and join me for the 10 most controversial cartoon episodes ever created. Number 10 is Daria Fat Like Me. Daria was a series that ran from 1997 to 2002 and was a spin-off to the classic MTV series Beavis and Butthead, which was already considered a reasonably controversial show, so it's not that surprising that Daria had a few controversial moments itself. One of these controversial moments came from an episode where Daria wasn't even the center of attention. One of the characters, Sandy, is the president of a fashion club and decides to implement a rule where there will now be a maximum weight for new club members. She then breaks her leg, and because of this puts on a few pounds. So she gets kicked out of the club and essentially loses friends because of her weight gain. This was viewed as insensitive to those going through weight gain or those who went through similar situations. However, it's pretty evident that those characters are the ones who are insensitive to such subjects, so it shouldn't be taken too seriously. Number 9 is Saving Private Brian, Family Guy. Considered a classic amongst many Family Guy fans, Saving Private Brian is an episode that is a satirical look at the Iraq War. Stewie and Brian join the army, go to Iraq, and spend a lot of their time pointing out flaws with the war, all while being in the middle of a parody of Saving Private Ryan. Anybody who agreed with the Iraq War obviously weren't very happy with Family Guy's opinions, and it caused a lot of controversy amongst many. Quick side note though, this is also the episode where Peter and Lois get Marilyn Manson to convince Chris to stop being in a rock band. There was nothing controversial about that, it was just pretty awesome. Number 8 is Powerpuff Girls, Him. This is actually a character from the Powerpuff Girls rather than an episode. However, Him garnered controversy because of his personality and appearance. He was essentially an adaptation of the devil, however he wore women's clothes, and there were slight undertones that he might have been gay. Obviously this isn't the problem that people had. Instead, the problem came from the fact that he was the villain of the show. It was viewed as transphobic and homophobic to pinpoint him as the villain. This more than likely wasn't done intentionally, but people will find any excuse they can to get angry. Number 7 is Beavis and Butthead, Stewarts' House. Seeing as we've already featured an episode from Daria, it's not that surprising that its more controversial older brother is also on the list. This episode, that aired in 1993, was the first bit of real trouble the show got into. It's also the introduction of reoccurring character Stewart. When Beavis and Butthead get bored, they decide to go to Stewart's house. Stewart explains that his parents aren't home and they can't come in, so naturally they go in, after which they seemingly torture Stewart by putting various things down his underwear and then blending them together. Of course, then they go off, sniff some paint, and eventually blow the house up. It was put on blast for depicting scenes of extreme violence. However, this didn't stop the creator Mike Judge from getting even more controversial in later years. Good job, man. Stick to your guns. Number 6 is Return of the King, from the BoonDocks. Beavis and Butthead may have been edgy, but the BoonDocks is a completely different thing altogether. Based on the comic strip, this 2005 animation was never afraid to tackle anything. The episode in question features Huey Freeman telling an alternative version of history where legendary activist Martin Luther King Jr. falls into a coma after being shot. He then wakes up in the year 2000 where he is greeted with open arms, until a year later when he advises people to turn the other cheek to the 9/11 attacks. Because of this, he loses his popularity. The episode caused controversy because a lot of people thought that Martin Luther King Jr. was poorly depicted in the show. There are also many moments where he is mocked and disrespected. One example is when the character Riley mistakes him for Morgan Freeman. Other people were angry about the 9/11 comments. Either way, it's a pretty great episode, I recommend it. Number 5 is Blame It on Lisa. The Simpsons have had a number of controversial moments in their lifespan. However, that's mainly down to the fact that their lifespan is like 600 years. Point is, they're not really the show you would automatically link with controversy. However, this episode begs to differ. It features Lisa sponsoring an orphan in Brazil. After the orphan goes missing, she convinces the family to go to Brazil to find him. Homer gets kidnapped and then he gets saved. They all learn an important life lesson about how you shouldn't get kidnapped. Blah blah, fantastic, okay. However, that wasn't why it was deemed controversial. Instead, it was because of their depiction of Brazil. In the episode, it was looked at as a poor, rough, dangerous area. Also, the language, culture, and people were said to have been misrepresented. Because of this, it surprisingly wasn't too much of a hit in Brazil. Also, the fact that Homer references kids from Brazil as little Hitlers probably didn't help. The episode in question was one of the lowest rated of that season. However, they've made 15 more seasons since that episode, so I think they're okay. Number 4 is One Beer, Tiny Toons. Yes, believe it or not, the kid-friendly 1990 animation Tiny Toon Adventures has had a few controversial moments. One of these moments popped up when the writers decided to take on an issue as big as alcoholism. Now, it's not too uncommon for kid shows to have light undertones that revolve around bigger issues. However, the undertones that were shown in this episode weren't necessarily light. What I mean by that is at one point they literally say, in this episode we're showing the evils of alcohol. To take it a step further, after these 3 bad boys share 1 bottle of beer, they get in a car and die. Wow, that escalated quickly. Number 3 is 200 from South Park. South Park had already been controversial for 199 episodes and 13 seasons. However, that didn't stop the creators, Trey Parker and Matt Stone, from going into episode 200 with a bang. They decided to bring back former celebrities who they had mocked, and, well, mocked them again. Now, this of course wasn't uncommon for South Park. However, what did gain the controversy was the Muhammad subplot. When Tom Cruise threatens to sue them for making fun of him, he says that the only way he'll drop the charges is if he gets to meet the Prophet Muhammad. Even though South Park have shown Muhammad in the past, because of their newfound popularity and growing PC views, they were told they could not do it for that episode. So instead, they mocked the concept of not being able to show him and called out some of the hypocrisies in censorship. While the episode did of course gain a mass amount of controversy, it was also applauded for taking that stance. Or should I say taking that stance? Get it? Because he's a character in the show. He's in the show. Number 2 is Computer Soldier Porygon from Pokemon. There's a chance that I butchered this episode's name, but fuck it, it's banned from TV anyways. This episode only broadcasted in Japan, but it caused a mass amount of controversy. This is because of the excessive flashing lights that were featured in the episode. The clip was only 9 seconds long, but those 9 seconds gave 600 kids seizures. It's fair to say that that version of the episode never broadcasted on TV again. However, it is of course still available on the internet. If you do decide to view it, do so at your own risk because, like I said, it's pretty intense. And number 1 is Rude Removal from Dexters Laboratory. It's very easy to say that the BoonDocks, South Park, and even the episode of Pokemon we just mentioned were probably far more controversial than this, but I've decided to place this number 1 because I just can't believe it's a thing. After Dexter makes a machine that can extract rudeness from somebody's body and capture it, he ends up making 2 versions of himself and his sister. One duo is an extremely polite pair of people, the other 2, not so much. And I don't mean not so much in a child-friendly sort of way, I mean not so much as in they genuinely curse and shit. They go around Dexter's house just tearing up the gaff while they're dropping a few F-bombs around. And it leaves you wondering, hey Cartoon Network, why'd you do this, man? I trusted you. And that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, don't forget to hit that like button. If you want to see more top 10s every week, don't forget to subscribe. I hope you enjoyed your onion, and as always, until next time.